This is so nice. We are finally moving on from part-time Buggy. Let's get this script done and let's record more videos. We are finally moving on.
Attempting to cancel Christmas. They already tried to do this with
Thanksgiving.
Why
does he have to
talk?
Why does he have such an obnoxious voice? Why does he have to talk like this? Why must I suffer through all of this? This is disgusting. This is disturbing.
Yes, that's an awesome idea. Okay, let's open up the script, and this is going to be so much fun. No, that's funny, buddy. That's not the right script. No, Brennan, no, are you kidding me? We were literally saying we were moving on. What is your problem?
Hello everyone, how's Karen and the kids? How's Timothy doing trying to get a new job after being fired from Twitter? Today is the continuation and the very last video on part-time. No, you disgusting, cringy human being. Your microphone is so horribly trash, like actually get out right now. Anyways, today is the continuation and the very last video on part-time Buggy, so yeah, enjoy this, because no matter what he does, this will be my last video covering him, at least for the foreseeable future.
Because this is hysterical. In case you guys have been wondering where I've been for the past 3 days, I've just been combing through this guy's backlog, because it's ridiculous.
Take a straight slip.
This guy says, so let's just jump into it.
Stop dating toxic men! Stop dating abusive men!
Stop blaming women for men's problems! Stop blaming women for men's problems! Stop blaming women for men's problems!
You know, ironically enough, this...
Oh god, as if things weren't bad enough, he's Australian. Jesus Christ, this voice.
Oh, well, if you don't like Australians, then you're really not gonna like this video.
What is up, my gamers? I've been summoned for some reason. Australia is epic. What you mean? We live in a society.
It is even funnier a second time.
Actually got offended by this comment, not gonna lie. He actually doesn't have much of an Australian accent. His mic's trash. Besides that, he kind of reminds me of a bit like Andrew Tate.
Well, what color's your brigade? Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Let's not.
Oof! Buggy, don't discredit him like that. No. I saw that, you cheeky bugger. The video itself is not funny at all, literally.
You know, ironically enough, this woman is sitting here complaining about a lack of accountability. Meanwhile, she's showing absolutely zero of it.
Yeah, the way she's throwing her scrunchies onto her bedroom floor as if she fucking owns the place. Yeah, that's a clear indicator of a lack of accountability. Sure, the guy in the first clip was doing the exact same thing, but he's a man, so he can do whatever the
Fly me to the moon.
he wants.
Homie's really deflecting that much. There's a distinct difference between the guy telling women in general to stop dating toxic men and stop blaming women for men's problems as a response to the previous statement. Problem was that unless he was reacting to someone else or something else which would make the statement inappropriate, the statement itself isn't inappropriate. He's not saying it's her fault, she's just speaking to those women who choose to keep getting into toxicity and then proceeding to say how bad all men are. What the lady is saying, however, is that it is men's fault in all cases. I mean, partially, you can argue, sure, but I think it's more of a fool me once kind of situation. You can't claim ignorance. At some point, you have to learn from your mistakes. So yes, the Australian vampire is right. She's kind of failing to take accountability. It's technically not, but I feel like in spirit, that's kind of how it is.
I can't handle the fact she threw a scrunchie 3 times, and it's pure cringe. While Vampire Man blames women for choosing crappy men, your boy Buggy reflects on how this can be applied to men too. for choosing crappy women. Yes, I think this is correct. Somewhat, anyway. You cannot expect that everything will go your way and you'll magically find a nice girlfriend or boyfriend. And you literally cannot expect a massive boy to date a skinny waifu. It's a stupid expectation.
You see, these girls out here, guys, they'll date the bad boys, the guys that'll treat them like crap, the guys that'll pick them up at 2 a.m. in the morning, and that's about it, or call them over at 2 a.m. in the morning, actually. You know, and they'll date all these guys that treat them like absolute crap. They'll cry about him. Oh, why hasn't he replied to my text? Blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, there's a stockpile of 100 texts they haven't responded to.
I've noticed with these types of guys that they love to hound women for not replying to each and every text message they get while being completely unaware that girls get texts from guys within a 100-mile radius like every minute of the day. Like the stockpile of texts that he mentioned are like 90% unsolicited pics.
He's not complaining about the lack of replying to text alone, but for complaining about toxicity while having tons of available men, but choosing toxicity specifically, instead of going with a quote-unquote better option, so to speak. I don't like saying nice guy because, of course, it has a stigma now. But anyways, also the thing about the unsolicited photographs. I mean, dude, you're keeping some bad company if that's a common practice amongst the boys, alright? Don't get me wrong, I know it happens, but come on, dude, it's not nearly at that degree. If that were true, then women would be hesitant to give out their numbers, and thus the problem doesn't exist again. This means even if the majority of guys were like this, then women just wouldn't give out their numbers nearly as much, giving men less opportunities to do something like this, and thus lowering the statistic you claim is at some monumental peak. Because if it happens daily, you'd think they just change a number, right? Right, Buggy? And, you know, just heartily give it out. But hey, you don't want logic and reason, so, yeah, just feel free to ignore that. Anyways.
Quit choosing short-term relationships and start thinking long-term relationships, and then you'll progress. With this said, I can confirm that most of the time, men experience more failure to have open options. I'm not sure why, but it's kind of a social norm now.
Look at how this older woman is settling for a beta male, because that's the best she can get. I'm not good at impressions, obviously, but...
Imagine. Couldn't it be me? Hey, Jimmy's mom.
To the second one here, and I'm going to set it up for us to have a look at.
Before we get into this, I unironically love how edgy his setup is. Everything in his room is black. Black hair, black curtains, black suit. His chair has little black horns on it. That's f***ing adorable.
What did he say?
The Gomez family from The Sims 4. I bet I could build an exact replica of his room in The Sims 4. Hold on.
Bruh. The same could be said about you. I mean, for goodness sake, who has devil horns and elf ears? Clearly, you're an alien and must be destroyed off the face of the planet.
Okay, this
real video
mad.
about the top 10 best countries to find a great wife. I'm just so curious, aren't you?
Guys, take your bets as to why she's so indignant that men are finding wives elsewhere. Just take your guesses.
Of course, he doesn't understand the problem with this, like, video of ranking women, essentially. like, of course, Twilight over here doesn't fucking get how that's weird.
Okay, so, like, by how that sounds, gonna have to agree with the Buggy here.
So let's check these best countries together to find a good wife. Slovenian women are really beautiful, hot, and relaxed ones.
You can already tell she's watching this and she's just absolutely seething in her blue hair. It's
What is it with these guys making fun of girls with neon colored hair? That's like their best and only insult, really. I don't want to hear shit about appearances coming from the Count Dracula over here. Because I know he's the type of guy to see a girl with neon hair and go, I want to smell her farts.
We're just gonna ignore the absolutely moronic toilet humor that the average third grader laughs at? Yeah? Okay, then I'm down if you are. Although technically, yes, it's wrong to judge a book by its cover, but there's the problem is there seems to be a pattern. Am I the only one that notices this? Literally always with the dyed hair, and almost always blue as well. It never seems to fail. But anyways, the argument of, hey, you can't be talking can basically be applied to everyone involved. So it's kind of stupid to say that, because I can say that about you and your edgy PNG, and someone else can say that about mine. It's dumb. I'm just really dumb argument. You can't pull an hypocrisy argument. It's stupid.
Broken told me to throw some American insults at you because you're American, so, racism? Oh, and haha, you guys pronounce ERs funny. Freaking weirdos.
Why is it always exclusively and specifically blue, too? Like, I knew this one girl who was pretty chill till she dyed her hair blue. And then she started rambling about how Jesus was a trans homosexual. I haven't really talked to her since she went to juvie for possession of illegal substances and breaching parole, which I didn't know she was on until that moment. Huh. Maybe it's just something they put in that dye.
Guys, you know the imagery that they showed in that video of like the beautiful women and stuff like that? I want you guys to just think to yourself, would you rather take this lady? Or would you rather take the girls in the video?
Oh, tough talk coming from a guy who's hiding behind a discount black butler avatar on YouTube. Of course, he draws himself as this really elegant, really suave, handsome vampire, but I'm 100% certain this dude's pulling up to parties in like Skechers and camouflage cargo shorts with like a Nike shirt. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that, but when you start going in on people for their appearance, well, you gotta be able to back it up, you know what I mean? I don't want to hear about being ugly unless you're fucking Ryan Gosling or something, because at least then I'll think, oh fuck, he's really handsome. I guess I really am ugly.
Well, that's pretty obvious, but here's the problem. If his morals don't align with yours, it doesn't automatically mean you're justified to stoop as low as him. If you truly had the rules of engagement you claim you do, you wouldn't make such an effort to talk about how he hides behind a mask, despite that being exactly what you do. The problem is that you're being hypocritical when you try to take the moral high ground on this kind of thing, because you do it all the time in your videos. And, you know, sometimes, you know, you can joke around about things and all that fun stuff. But the problem is that if they are your real morals and you're not just virtue signaling, you would stick by them no matter what the other person's doing.
You see, nobody shames women for having their preferences, right? It's like...
What the f*** are you talking about? Men shame women for their preferences all the time. If a girl wants a guy who's a certain height, these guys will immediately start pants and dry heaving about how unfair the dating market is. Not every girl wants an average looking dude with like an anime gacha game addiction. I'm sorry, but that's just the reality of it.
Dude, again, you're missing the point. That entire debacle was basically pointing out the hypocrisy in the whole body positivity, lack of movement, and how men were somehow fatphobic for not wanting to date overweight women, but somehow the uncontrollable factor of height is just preference. It's not really to complain about women who want men who are taller than them, because again, it's simply biology. Women want security, and generally speaking, when people think of factors of intimidation, height is a main contributor, along with, you know, just the stature, you know, physical appearance, obviously. I don't think you should shame a woman for dating a guy who's taller than her, but like, you shouldn't shame a guy for his height, nor should you shame a woman for her height, or a man for his height preference. Or weight preference. The problem is that people in general, although mostly men, are getting shamed because they don't want to date overweight people, which is absolutely absurd, actually.
When a guy like regularly he's seen as like a cool guy, or to these guys they're called alpha males. When a woman does the exact same thing, suddenly it's like she's this unfit for marriage. Where's the logic in that? Have we ever figured that one out?
So your solution to that problem is to accept both behaviors instead of denying or rebuking both behaviors. So it's okay if a woman does something if a man does it too. What? That doesn't make any sense to me, actually. Especially considering that, like, from where I'm from, like, nobody's ever been praised for that. Like, it's just kind of like, okay. You know, nobody's giving you a pat on the back for it. In fact, when my friend told me, he was like, I politely called him an idiot because, I mean, he's still in high school. It's dumb. Why would you do that? You know? But I mean, you do you, dude. That's all you. Don't speak for everybody.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about how wrong a high sex count is when you're a guy who gets 0 bitch.
I love how everything you say is just, it's ad hominem. You have no proof, actually. So it's kind of dumb to say that to begin with. But I mean, like, even if that's true, right? Even if that's true, suppose that's true. Wouldn't he technically be practicing what he's been preaching? I don't know. Maybe I misunderstand the movement, but isn't that like, men going their own way? I mean, I'm just assuming, but that's just me.
Like, guys in general actually do care about that stuff, and we'll cover stories which we might get into if you've got time on today's show, right? Where ex-boyfriends return into the picture, or she seems to have all of these guy friends and stuff like that, and a lot of men get gaslit into the idea that, hey, so what, she has a lot of guy friends, so what, she still talks to her exes.
This guy is so insecure about himself, and it shows so much. Holy shit. I mean, as if you can tell from the suave persona he puts on. If you're so controlling that you won't let your partner talk to people that are the opposite gender of them, then you're the one with the problem there.
He wasn't talking about just any guys. He was talking about exes and all sorts of things, quote unquote guy friends, which is a bit like, like, yeah, I can't even, like, okay, buddy, okay. Not gonna lie, that's a story for another time, so I can't really rebuttal this as of right now. Not the guy friend part, but I mean, he was talking about exes too. Like, not even you're going to ignore that he even said that, which is kind of annoying, but I mean, whatever, it's fine.
These guys act like being nice is something you should be compensated for. If you're such a nice guy, then being nice is just kind of what you do. Like, if you'd expect something in return for your kindness, then you're probably not being genuine, meaning that you're probably not that kind of a person after all. It's like giving money to a homeless person, right? Are you giving them money because you genuinely want to help this person, or because you want to seem nice and score some brownie points with karma?
Those two situations are completely different, because of course you can act not nice, but you can act genuinely decent, but the problem is people take that for granted, and I guess it's not really instant gratification type thing. It's more so, well, you don't want to get stepped on, and that's what it should be. You shouldn't be a servant necessarily. It should be give and take. It shouldn't be,
oh, I can do whatever I want. It's, oh, they're nice. They'll do anything for me.
That type of thing. It's kind of dumb, to be honest. I'm not saying it should be transactional necessarily. I'm just saying, like, just a thank you, anything. After a while, it can get hard to have it all unreciprocated. I don't think it's a bad thing to want that, as long as you're not, unless that's your sole intent, just to get something in return. I agree with that part, but I mean, you're making it sound like feeling unappreciated or something like that is a bad thing.
I feel like women are more expected to be there emotionally. Like, men are supposed to be there in a physical way, and women are supposed to be there in today's society, I feel like, to support the man, to be trusting. I think that girls should absolutely be the ones to pay for dates. I think that they should take turns, and I think that women should go in the DMs. I go in the DMs.
Okay, there was just so many things wrong with that I can't even.
Although I don't really agree with that, only because I just hate getting paid for. And by hate, I don't mean like I'm gonna get mad, because that's admirable. It's just I can't in good conscience allow that to happen myself. But hey, I think everything about that was sound, to be honest. I don't know what that guy's problem is. Well, except for the emotional part. I feel like men are seen more as like the rock or the emotional punching bag a lot of instances. I mean, how many times have you been ranted at or anything else like that? Like, come on. Like, it's kind of dumb to suggest that, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not like I'd mind anyways or anything like that, because I mean, that's just kind of how it is, right? But I think sometimes, I mean, there is back and forth every now and then, but I really just, I doubt it. Or maybe it's just my personal experience. Maybe it's just me personally, but I can't Like it's weird. I don't need a therapist, you know what I mean? But anyways, yeah, okay, on to the next point, I suppose.
Begin to express. But the one I want to pick out of that, guys, is that women are expected to be there emotionally for you. Guys, if you go up to a woman, let's just say you've got some problems going on in your life, maybe you're feeling down, like please don't expect that after these events, if you go through a sustained period of feeling down, please do not expect your woman to stay around, guys. As much as they say that they're emotionally supportive, they're not, guys. They're absolutely not. If you want to sit down and you want to have a discussion with a woman about your feelings, I mean, that's just a really good way to run her off.
I can't really speak personally to this part right here. I mean, I'm a very reserved person. I don't really wear my heart on my sleeve, so to speak. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm not really authorized to argue this point here. But I mean, when I do talk about things, I don't think I've ever been like invalidated by a woman, really. But you know, yeah, whatever. Well, unless you count the one time when I was 4 years old and a fourth grader was bullying my friend and I on a bouncy house. She was like in 3rd grade or something, and then we told our moms about it, and then they laughed. I mean, that works too, you know. I mean, I guess that's something, but I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm running out of anecdotal anything, to be honest. I don't. Yeah, I couldn't find any research papers about it or anything. Polls are, I mean, I couldn't really find polls either about this type of topic. So I apologize, but yeah, that's that's about it. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Okay, so Taylor thinks you shouldn't date a woman who's slept with multiple guys. He thinks women should settle down before they reach their 30s, and says that being emotionally honest with your partner is a terrible idea. If this is the advice he gives, imagine how
The first one I believe we touched on previously in the last video, being essentially that emotional baggage that goes along with previous relationships that are more intimate is bad, obviously. The second point, okay, so again, essentially the same reason, but it's a bit of a leap, and the rationale behind it is kind of in the gray area, no pun intended. But what about the third point? Again, another thing in the gray area a little bit, but if I'm being honest, the guy's got a point. Well, to a certain degree anyway. Since again, women want security, consistency, and you know, all the stuff we talked about before, it's pretty reasonable that they would not want to see men get emotional or act emotionally driven unless it's anger or happiness, basically. However, again, being an emotionless, cold-hearted person is terrible advice. Love how Buggy switched from teasing this dude from not wanting to invest emotionally in relationships to endorsing emotionless relationships and parasocial activity with only, you know, and hookup culture and all that fun stuff. And by fun, I mean completely idiotic.
So what advice would you give to a man to approach a woman that he likes without being perceived as creepy?
Go.
Look attractive, hit the gym.
Okay, here is clear, definitive proof that Taylor thinks if you're built like a Chad, you can just walk up to girls and be creepy.
Not what he was saying. He was saying that there is a different threshold depending on how attractive you are perceived as, of what is creepy and what isn't. So, if someone's attractive, it could be seen as flirting, whereas if not, it could be seen as being a creep. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of a subjective standard depending on how you look and your personality and everything else, because some people can pull off certain things and some people can't. I mean, it just makes sense. He's not saying creepiness is just accepted. He's saying that it can be creepy depending on how someone looks. You can say the exact same thing. Two different people can say the exact same thing, and it could come off completely different depending on how socially aware both of them are, and the personalities, as well as how attractive they are.
Someone recently asked me if I take recommendations, and let me just say now, yes, 100% yes. If you have more crazy dudes like this, please send them my way. I eat this shit up.
See, this statement right here, this is the issue. He gets sent stuff that is already on the extreme side of things, and he's already been told basically what to think. Oh, this guy's crazy, you should react to him. This type of thing only validates his worldview further and doesn't even challenge it. He never tries to challenge anything, and he just lives in his own bubble, using the extremists of the movement who at best flirt with misogyny as the representative of his opposition. The sad part is he's a very talented content creator. His videos are actually decent with professional grade editing, and he even made me laugh a few times. Granted, not all of his jokes really land, but I guarantee you this guy is going to be big. He's going to be established at some point. I just fear that if he's not open to opposing, I can't speak for some reason. I fear that if he's not open to opposing, again, one more time. I just fear that if he's not open to opposing views now, what's going to happen when he gets thousands of followers backing up his every claim and unquestioning belief in him? Well, that was the last video on this guy, at least for a very, very long time, unless he says something just ridiculous, more so than the baseline. Hope you all enjoy, and please, I am sincerely asking that you do not completely bash him. Again, although I haven't met him personally, he seems to have an alright personality. And again, he's talented. Like, his production quality is amazing. Anyways, I think he holds some opinions that are based sometimes. And this is the only time I'm saying this, and it doesn't mean I take back any of my other videos. I'm simply stating all of this to say that there's no need to completely turn away from someone's work or discredit their talent because of differing political beliefs, and unless you have constructive criticism towards him stated on my channel, not you coming after him after watching this video, there really is no need to say anything.
Well said. Amen. Bye. My gamers.